What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 3, Beantown Wedding Throwdown. So let's start off with the wedding of Noy and Steven. So as Noy was walking down the aisle, I was just so mesmerized by her smile. She has a very beautiful, almost perfect, probably perfect smile. She was just gleaming, cheesing from ear to ear as she walked down the aisle. If I was her groom waiting for her at the altar and I saw her coming down that smile right there would have sold me. I would have been sold by her smile alone because her smile is really, really pretty. So when they got to the altar, and the part where the officiant is reading whatever information each family provided to let the other one know about their loved one, the things that were said about Noy I thought were really nice. I thought her family and her friends or whoever wrote them said some really nice things about her. She even got a little bit emotional when her childhood was mentioned because she was in a refugee camp. I don't know exactly for how long, but she was in a refugee camp as a child, and I'm pretty sure that brings back probably a lot of emotional memories for her. So she kind of got teary-eyed when that was mentioned, and the vows that they exchanged with each other, the personal vows that they had written to each other, I thought those were really nice. Those were really sweet. I remember her saying in her vows, she said to him, something about even in the world beyond, something about even in the world beyond we'll still be together. So like after death, they'll still be together. So when they have their little alone time where they're talking and they're getting to know each other, and the conversation is flowing, there's no awkwardness about it, and he says that she tells him that all of a sudden, she feels really calm now because at first she was really nervous, but now that she's met him and she knows who he is, she feels a whole lot calmer. Obviously, for all of them, the nerves are really bad before they actually get to meet their spouse at the altar, but then after they meet them, I'm pretty sure they calm down a lot. So they take their wedding photos, and Noy changes into like a traditional outfit, and she brings him a traditional sash to wear because her father and her brother were both wearing a sash, and I guess it's something to represent their culture. So she tells him that she is from Laos, she's Laotian, and she presents him the sash to wear, and she tells him, by me giving this to you, I'm officially welcoming you into our family, and I like that. So at dinner, she asked him, so what do you do for work? And he tells her that he used to be a sales engineer and he got laid off. And so he did some traveling, and he traveled for 4 months. And it was like he was saying a lot just to say that he's not working right now. And in her confessional, she says, so Steve is actually unemployed and it sounds temporary, but we'll see. Later on, Noy's brother talks to Steve one on one, and her brother looks to be about like very late teens, early 20s. So he asked Steve, so what are y'all going to be doing tonight? And he's like, wait a minute. We just met. I would like to get to know her. And then he says, the brother says, what are y'all going to be doing in the morning? And he was like, nothing, waking up. And so the brother says that either way it's fine, whether y'all choose to do anything or you choose not to do anything, it's fine either way. Y'all are legally married, so it's okay. And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on here? What is this kid, what is he doing? Like, what are you saying about your sister? Like, I couldn't believe that this kid was talking about basically, number one, trying to find out if his sister's going to be getting down on the first night, and then giving his new brother-in-law permission to basically smash because they're legally married, so it's okay. That was a very weird scene. So everything with their wedding, to me, in my opinion, went fantastic. I thought their wedding was really nice. I thought that there was chemistry between them. I'm really looking forward to seeing their relationship develop. I give them their whole little segment 2 thumbs up. Alyssa and Chris. So she wakes up in the morning of her wedding day. She says she's not nervous, and her bridesmaids were like, how could you not be nervous? And she says she just doesn't feel nervous at all. And the the expert, I don't know which expert it was, but one of the experts had said that they were matched, Alyssa and Chris were matched because they're both direct and honest communicators. Okay. So, Alyssa stresses before she actually gets married, before she actually meets Chris, she stresses over and over again that she has to have that initial physical attraction. And I want to tell Alyssa, you are on the wrong show. Because if you have watched, do people watch these shows that they try out for, that they sign up for? Have they seen a single episode? Because on every single season, the experts will always say attraction, it's okay if you don't feel attracted to your spouse in the beginning. The attraction should develop as you get to know the person. So it's okay if you don't if you don't get the fireworks and the butterflies in your tummy and all of that. It's okay if that doesn't happen as soon as you meet them at the altar. Eventually, the attraction will come as you get to know the person. And if the person is right for you, the attraction will definitely be there at some point. So she keeps on talking about how she has to have that initial attraction. She described the kind of guy that she likes, and she said tall, tanned, and with like a scruffy beard. And I think he's tall. He does have a scruffy beard. I don't know if he's what you would consider to be tanned. He wasn't that pale, so maybe he is tanned. I don't know. So, anyways, she has her cowboy boots on under her wedding dress, and Chris sends her a note in her hotel room, and the note was really beautiful. So as she's reading the note, she gets really emotional. She can't even finish reading it. So one of her bridesmaids has to finish reading the note. I don't remember what was said, but I remember that it was really nice, and it really like touched her heart, and she was crying and she was getting emotional. So it was really considerate of him to send that note to her. And she even said that, it came at the right time. So she says she's going to be walking herself down the aisle. She's not going to, neither parent or family member is going to walk her down the aisle because her dad, both of her parents are present, but her dad had a back injury. So he would not be able to walk her down the aisle. So she's going to walk down the aisle herself. And she says teeth are a big deal to her. And when she said that, the TLC producers were being super shady because they go back to Chris, who's waiting for her at the altar, and they do a close up of his teeth. And I don't think his teeth would be up to snuff for her. Okay. To me, his teeth are fine, but to her, the way she was going on and on about teeth and how they have to be perfect and how she herself has invested a lot of money in her own teeth and she wants his teeth to be nice. I was like, okay, I don't think Alyssa's going to like his teeth. So I thought that was kind of shady of the producers to like zoom in on his grill as soon as she talked about how she really wants a man with nice teeth. So ever since she mentioned teeth, every time I see Chris on my television screen, all I could do is look at his teeth. So the officiant says that you will always tell. So she walks down the aisle and she looked, Alyssa is a ball of nerves. She makes me a ball of nerves. When she was walking down the aisle, she didn't seem, I'm going to chalk it up to her being nervous. Let's just leave it at that. She was probably really nervous. So she walks down the aisle. She meets him at the altar. She's standing there with him at the altar. And, she didn't seem that thrilled. She didn't seem that happy, but maybe she was just really nervous. So the officiant starts reading the notes that were whatever from the family. And when it came to him describing her, he says to Chris, you will always tell when something is bothering her. Her face will say it all. And as she was standing there at the altar, her face was saying a lot. Her face was saying a lot to me. She looked uncomfortable. She looked super nervous. She was very fidgety. She couldn't stand still for anything. She was extremely fidgety. She just looked really uncomfortable, and it made me uncomfortable to watch her. She barely made any eye contact with him. When she finally made eye contact, it was when he was reading his vows to her, and it was like, well, she had to look at him because he was reading these words to her. Where else is she going to look? But that was like the only time that she really gave him direct eye contact. His vows to her, I thought were good. I liked how he read them. He had like a very commanding presence when he read. Later on, we find out his friends say that he's a teacher. I don't know what they meant. Like, is he like a teacher? Like, what is like professionally? Because I thought he was in real estate. But anyways, when he was reading the vows to her, he just had like a really commanding presence about him. I thought. I liked how he read the vows to her. He finds her attractive. He thinks that she's beautiful. When they do have their one-on-one time, their conversation was going good. I liked their conversation on their one-on-one time. The only thing that bothered me was when he brought up that damn disc golf. That's some weird game that I don't know if he invented that. Him and his friends invented that. I have no idea. I've never heard of disco golf. But he tells her that he plays disco golf and that he's the vice president of the Disco Golf Association. And I'm like, what? Why are you bringing that up, Chris? Please. So it's time for the wedding photos. This is what really aggravated me about Alyssa. So it's time for them to have their wedding photos, and the photographer tells her anything that has anything to do with touching, any type of poses that require them to touch in any kind of way, she wasn't down. The photographer asked her to lay her head on his chest. She said no. The photographer asked, if he could twirl her around. She said no. She wasn't comfortable with any type of physical interaction whatsoever. So I don't know how these photos came out. And he's trying so hard to be positive and to see the glass half full that he really wasn't offended by that, the fact that she didn't want to touch him during the photos. He wasn't offended. He was just like, well, we're still getting to know each other. He made up some excuse, but to him it was like it was no big deal to him. And I'm like, okay, Chris, I need you to pay attention. I need you to open your eyes and your ears and your brain, and I need you to pay attention to what's happening here, because no one is comfortable with wedding photos, probably even when you do know your groom or your bride and you've been together for years, let alone if y'all are strangers. I mean, wedding photos tend to be kind of, stiff, kind of uncomfortable, but everybody does them. So she should have just sucked it up and did it. Anyways, so she's not a super touchy person. We get that. He says that he likes her bluntness. He didn't see her as being rude to the photographer. He said that she liked how blunt she was and that he saw no red flags at all. In his confessional, he says that he's excited. He's really excited about her, and he's really excited that they chose Alyssa for him. At dinner, there's some type of conversation that they were having. I don't know exactly what was said. I think she said somebody asked her if she would move somewhere for him. I don't know if she said to the city or where, but I think she was saying, well, somebody asked me if I would move wherever, for you. And I told them, no, I don't care what he wants. So he kind of just brushed that off. That's a sign, Chris. Are you taking notes? So people start clinking their glasses because they want them to kiss. And obviously, she doesn't like human contact whatsoever. So that wasn't going to happen. And he thought that was fine. He didn't see anything wrong with her not wanting to do that. In her confessional, Alyssa says that she had a very long day. It was highly stressful. And, she doesn't know if she's going to be Chris's wife forever, and that she needs time to process everything. And she needs to put all the pieces together. Yeah, that's how it is. Yes, you're stating the obvious. On Married at First Sight, when the people first get married, they don't know exactly what's going on. They just kind of have to put stuff together. Thank you for enlightening us, Alyssa. And then Chris says that he's a really affectionate guy. In his confessional, he mentioned about being really affectionate. And it's like, Chris, they gave you the most unaffectionate, coldest human that they could possibly find for you. And I don't know how he's going to feel when he sees her giving all kinds of hugs and kisses to her dogs and her animals, but nothing to him. So Chris talks to her mother, and he asked her mother, this is at the reception, he asked her mother, has she said any good things about me yet? And then there's this awkward silence because the mother was like trying to dig deep into her brain to come up with something to tell this man. And so she's like, oh, well, I did tell her that I liked you. And she said, oh, I like him too. So he took that and he ran with it. He thought that was just like the best compliment that anyone could ever give him. So, he asked her, so if she's having a bad day, do you have any advice for me? And the mother basically tells him, stay the hell away from her. If she's having a bad day, stay the hell away from her. Don't cross her path. Don't bother her. Don't make eye contact with her. Just basically just, maybe you might even need to stay somewhere else for the night. Just leave her alone if she's having a bad day. And he's like, he's fine with that. And then he says that Alyssa is really driven. She knows what she wants. And do you know whether or not she wants you, Chris? She knows what she wants. She gets what she wants. And it doesn't hurt that she's also very beautiful. So every chance he gets in his confessional to say anything about Alyssa, it's in glowing terms. I mean, he's giving her 5 out of 5 stars. He is just so enamored by Alyssa. And I don't understand if he is just so happy to be with someone, because they call him the serial monogamous, and like he's always in a relationship. So I don't know if he's just so happy to be in a relationship because that's where he's most comfortable, or if he's really digging this chick. Because I'm like, how can you not see the signs that she's just not that into you? So Alyssa talks to his groomsmen, and this is where it all fell apart, like as if it hadn't fallen apart earlier. But this is where it really falls apart. She's talking to his groomsmen, and she wants some advice about Chris. And no, first they asked him. No, first they asked her, what did you think when you first saw him, or something like that. And she says, well, he has a very kind vibe about him. And one of his groomsmen was like, he had that look on his face, like, what the hell? And then they tell her that Chris is a teacher. I guess that's like a personality trait, not professional, because I think he's in real estate. They say he's a teacher. He likes to teach. He likes to learn. You will find that he's always trying to explain things to you. He's always trying to teach you things. And he may come off a little condescending, but it comes from a good place. And they tell her, if he is like that with you, it's okay, because he's just trying to make you a better person. What's wrong with this groomsman? Even if that's the truth, that's not what you tell a brand new bride on her wedding day, that, oh, this man that you don't know, who you've committed to spend the rest of your life with, if he comes off condescending, it's not from a bad place. He's just trying to make you a better person. So the bridesmaids tell Chris that Alyssa doesn't always go for the nice guy, and he comes off as like a nice guy, but they tell him she doesn't always go for the nice guy. She likes the bad boy, and I guess whatever, to make him appear not so nice, he tells her friends that he does have an edge to him, and he goes, "Do you see my friends? Well, yeah, I'm a lot like them." Well, your friends don't seem like, a gang of ruthless thugs. So I don't know what you're talking about, Chris. He says, I'm a lot like them. He says, I have an edge to me. And he goes, and sometimes I can be a real a-hole. So then he asked the bridesmaids, do you think she likes me? And they said, yes. And they go, we like you too. And I'm like, if they were lying to him, they did a good job, because it came off like they were being honest with him. And they also tell him that she's not very affectionate, so take it as it comes. Like I said, Chris, everybody's warning you. She's not touchy-feely. She's not affectionate. She doesn't hold hands. She doesn't kiss. She doesn't do any of that stuff. But when she does all of that stuff with her dogs, when she shows affection to her dogs, don't get upset. So we're at the hotel. And we're at the hotel now. So this is after the wedding. By the way, they got into the back of a pickup truck to be driven to the hotel, and I thought that was kind of cute. So anyway, so they get to the hotel, and all of a sudden we see Chris sitting in the lobby, and Alyssa is in some closed off room. We don't see her, but we can hear her because her mic is on. And she says, she's talking to a producer, and she's telling the producer, I hate people who are pushy and come off condescending. And the producer says, well, did you see that tonight in him? And she says, his friends straight up told me that that's what he does. In her confessional, she says that in the elevator, Chris had told her that, I'm Alyssa's side piece. And she didn't like that. She said that that comment made her really sick and that he's not normally her type. So then she says that we're so different. I don't feel comfortable sleeping in the same room with him. I don't see one characteristic in him that I asked for. And so the producers tell her, well, you need to go tell him that. And so then she goes out to meet him in the lobby. I don't know how long she had that man waiting out there in the lobby, but she comes out to talk to him. She sits down next to him and she apologized for taking so long. And she's like, you're probably wondering what's going on. And he's like, yeah, is everything okay? And she says, there were some things that were said that didn't sit right with me. And he's like, okay. He's like waiting for her to expound on that. And she goes, but you know what? We're so tired. Let's just go to bed. And he was like, okay. No, Chris, it's not okay. Chris, you're better than me. It's not okay. No, we're not going to end it like that. You're going to tell me, if I was Chris, I would have been like, no, we're not going anywhere. You're going to tell me exactly what the hell is going on, because there's no way that I'd be able to go to sleep knowing that there was a problem between me and this person. When I take my sleep seriously, and when I go to sleep, I want to sleep comfortably. I want to sleep peacefully. I don't want to be stressed out before I go to bed. That might lead to nightmares. So I would have been like, okay, what was said that didn't sit right with you? We're going to talk about this right now, or else I'm out. But he was just like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it later. We're going to talk about it now. Katina and Olajuwon. So they take their photos, and I think it was sort of like an impromptu thing when he decided to pick her up for the photos. I thought that was super cute. I thought the pictures looked really, really good. They're both very photogenic people. It was almost like it looked like a model shoot. The pictures look so good. I think that there is definitely chemistry between them, and so when they were dancing outside and the sun was setting, and I thought the whole scenery was really nice. Anyway, so Jasmine talks to his friends and his brother, and of course she wants some advice on how to deal with Olajuwon, and they tell her to be patient with him, and that sometimes you may have to tell him things over and over again for him to finally get it, and that he's going to try to mold you into the woman that he wants. So if that's true, then by the end of the season, Katina is going to be a gourmet chef because it's really important to him that his woman cooks for him. So Olajuwon speaks with her mother, and when he goes to talk to her mom, oh, by the way, when she was talking to his brother and his friend, I think she called him Elijah. I think she started off the conversation with, so what can y'all tell me about Elijah? And his friend goes, well, Olajuwon. So when he goes to talk to her mother, she called him Elijah, and he said that his name was Olajuwon. And she was like, where's that name from? I'm like, I'm surprised that that the name Olajuwon is not familiar to any of these people. Olajuwon is the name of one of the best basketball players in the NBA, Hakeem Olajuwon, who played for the Houston Rockets. And he's also in the basketball or NBA Hall of Fame. I don't understand how no one on the show has heard of the name Olajuwon. But anyways, so he goes to talk to her mother, and the mother asks him one question, which was, what are your intentions? Oh, before we get to that, she asked him, so where does that name come from? And he said that it's Nigerian. So he said that his mother's Irish and his father's Nigerian. There's like a lot of mystery with his parents, because I don't think that up until now, I don't think we know much about his parents. So the name is actually Nigerian. So the mother says, so what are your intentions for my daughter? And I don't remember what he said, because he said a lot. he said a lot, and I took not one note because he said a lot and it was too much. He gave her this long soliloquy, and it came to the point where the mother was just trying to escape, and so she was basically like, oh, what's that over there? So when he turned his head, grandma was out, mom was out. So Katina talks to her friends, and she says there's not going to be no hanky panky that night. And the friends ask her, well, how long are you willing to wait before you give up the goods? And she was like, a month. And Olajuwon, he's talking to his friends, and he's just so happy with her. He thinks that she's so beautiful. He likes the fact that she's so small and petite. So yeah, he's really, really happy. They get to the hotel, they're getting ready for bed, and y'all, when she was in the bathroom getting ready, he has stripped down to his boxers, and he jumped on the bed, and there were stains on his boxers. Not in any incriminating area, but definitely like on the side or on the hip area of the boxers. There were stains there. That that really bothered me. Like, how do you not know that there's stains on your underwear? Like, didn't you know you were going to be on television and there were going to be cameras all around? And he literally stripped all the way down to his boxers, and there were stains on his boxers. And I was just like, what the hell's going on? I don't know if she saw them, because the next time that we saw her, he had already changed into his pajamas. So those nasty boxers were gone. But that was so disturbing to me. Like someone who looks like he takes so much care of his appearance and so much care of his body. Like, why would you show up at your wedding with stained underwear? That was a bit much. Moving on to Mark and Lindsey. The more I'm seeing Mark and Lindsey, the more I'm actually liking Mark and Lindsey. And that's very shocking to me. Lindsey is actually kind of growing on me, and Mark the shark as well. So Mark feels like when they're talking, he realizes, like, she probably holds a lot in, that she's not very open and not very vulnerable. So he's already figured out that he's going to have to pull that vulnerability and the love out of her, and like really prove to her that he is trustworthy, that she can trust him with her emotions, because she kind of puts up a really tough exterior. And so he's trying to break through those walls to get to the more vulnerable part of Lindsey. But for him to do that, he's going to have to let her know that, that she can trust him with her heart and her emotions. And they're on the same page when it comes to, okay. So, Mark goes to Lindsay's dad and her brother, and he officially asks, I guess, for like her hand in marriage, or asks her dad, if he can go ahead and have his daughter. He still wants to do something traditional in this very untraditional way of getting married. And the father was like, yes, I give you permission to take my daughter. And Mark is asking for like advice about Lindsey, and the father says, whatever you do, don't get on her bad side, because you don't want to make her your enemy. And Mark can already tell that, if you get on the bad side of Lindsey, you're on the wrong side. And the brother, he tells them that he doesn't have a dad. His dad passed away, and his mom is in a rehab center, and he doesn't have any brothers and sisters. He really has no family. And when he said he doesn't have any brothers and sisters, the brother, Lindsay's brother, says, well, you have a brother now. And then they hugged. And I thought that was just so sweet and so beautiful, and I really, really liked that. Moving on to Jasmine and Michael. So they're having dinner at their wedding, and Michael talks about his hectic schedule. He says that he wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's gone until 7 o'clock at night. He works on the weekends as well. And you can tell that Jasmina is not really happy about this. And she says that in her past relationships, she's had issues with her partners being emotionally unavailable. So he's going to have to change that schedule around. Jasmina talks to his sisters. The sisters say to her that I'm pretty sure you're aware that our mother passed away in 2013. I think she died from breast cancer. And so they wore a pink ribbon pin in remembrance of their mother, and they give Jasmina a pink ribbon pin to wear as well. And they say, by us giving this to you, we are accepting you as our sister. And it was just really, really sweet for them to do that. I thought that was like a really sweet gesture. And they tell her that, it's always been, Mike and the girls, Mike and his sisters. And now it's going to be Mike and his wife. And so they're really proud of their brother. They're really happy for their brother. And it seems like, they really do like her and they're willing to accept her in their family. Mike speaks with her parents, and the parents are like, "What are your intentions?" I don't remember what he said. And then they tell him that with Jasmina, quiet is not good. You have to talk, you have to communicate with her. Quiet is not good. So at the end of all of this, all the couples go to their hotel room. It seems like, except for Chris and Alyssa, everyone goes into their hotel room. The husbands carry their wives over the threshold. They're all in bed. They're all canoodling. It seems like, everyone's happy with who they're with, except for Chris and Alyssa. That is my review of Married at First Sight. I will come back with episode 4. And thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.